Few things go better with a Tennessee sports victory than an awesome whiskey. And actually, me and Jonathan Crompton had a drink of whiskey during the postgame show of every football win this past season. And more specifically, we had Rattle and Snap Tennessee Select Straight Whiskey. You can see it right there behind me. Log Still Distillery has released a new Tennessee whiskey product line called Rattle and Snap Tennessee Whiskey, named after a long-forgotten game of chance. Rattle and Snap is a whiskey for those who make their own luck. There's a 4-year and an 8-year version of Rattle and Snap whiskey. And actually, this one behind me is the 4-year version right here. It's perfect for making your favorite whiskey cocktails or just drinking neat. It's really great stuff. And I mean, you can see it there. The bottle looks great too. You can find Rattle and Snap right now in stores across Tennessee. And Rattle and Snap is also available in Kentucky, Indiana, and Mississippi. So run, don't walk to get yourself some Rattle and Snap whiskey. And follow Rattle and Snap on Instagram at Rattle and Snap Whiskey. That is Rattle and Snap Tennessee Select Straight Whiskey. There's a lot to unpack here, but there's also not. I mean, it seems almost kind of simple to me with how much we've hashed out on these shows this season. You know, for anybody that's listened to a lot of them, like, we've been saying the same stuff week in and week out, week in and week out. It's the same exact stuff. And finally, when you play teams that have the ability to just call that BS out and just go, you know, this, well, I mean, we were saying this in games that Tennessee ultimately won sometimes, but like your Texas A&M game, I mean, you only scored 20 points in that one, but you squeaked it out and you won, but you still look at that and it's a lot of these same problems manifesting. And then finally you played Missouri and you played Georgia, and that sort of gravy train ran out on you and they steamrolled you. And so this, I mean, this is the manifestation of all that stuff where we were kind of like, you know, hey, you're winning. You won some of these, but like, this isn't going to cut it. And then finally, here we are. So,
yeah, I mean, I'll take it, like, look today real quick. Look at across college football. Maryland, 6-4, goes down and plays them. They had their opportunities late against Michigan.
They did.
But then we come in here at 7-3, and it's a 28-point ball game. You know what I mean? Everybody's trying to compare Michigan and Georgia.
More.
Oh, could have been more. Yes.
28 was
trying to compare. Yes. But like the people try to compare Michigan and Georgia, like, oh, it's a coin flip, blah, 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 blah. But Maryland can do what they're supposed to do against Michigan, but we can't do anything because I'm going to keep going back to this. When our offense is rolling, it looks really good. But when it's not, this is what we see. And I saw a comment a minute ago. 100% spot on. We talked about it at halftime. Our third and short play calls today were horrendous.
Garbage.
Run the ball. What did the Taylor the one? Run the damn ball. Right? I mean, especially on third and short. Now, did some calls go against us? Yes. The fourth down in the red zone. That wasn't going to change the game on that last drive. That wasn't going to change the game regardless. But yes, that's a holding. Should have been called. That doesn't change the outcome of that game. But, I mean, come on. Some of these play calls are just so bad. We're never going to call a game 100%. But 17 points over the last two games, that's unacceptable. That's what it is.
Completely unacceptable. And, I mean, you shouldn't even have to say this. Like, again, you already said it. Like, this isn't a call to have Josh Heupel fired. It's a call to just call a spade a spade. That's all it is. We're just talking about what we're seeing here. And again, we've been saying it all season, even with the wins. And it just is so frustrating because I think I said it last week on this show, like, you look on offense, you could put together, even with the injuries right now, Dylan Sampson and D. Williams and Squirrel White and Jalen Wright and this whole set of dudes that you have there, and you go like, that's a nice little set of athletes there that you have something to work with. Joe Milton has great athletic ability. He doesn't, I'm not sure that it's there. He's not the most cerebral dude. I would put it that way. He you know, that's such a huge part of being a quarterback, and he just doesn't seem like he has that it factor there. But I mean, you got dudes where you could put some stuff together even despite these injuries, and it just is the same thing over and over again. I loved last week when, for our one word, which we're about to do again, our one word segment, and you said insane, because the definition of insanity is just doing the same thing over and over and over again when it's not working. And he just,
Yes.
I can't, man. I can't.
Well,
It's so
that right there is
frustrating.
that's a great segment into this question. I got to go back and find it. Sorry. Oh, it asked me, why can't we get open? Is the play calling or the routes or our receivers? And so just to kind of rehash what I've talked about in prior weeks, sometimes 90% of our routes are option routes. They can literally stop and sit down. They can go vertical. They can run a post, or they can run a dig, which is an in. So when we keep looking at our any quarterback that plays in our system, and we go, why is he staring down the receiver? Because we're trying to figure out where the hell he's going.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. And that it's great to have those every now and then, but most of our plays are that. That's why the ball is 90% of the time late, right? I mean, it is. Even last year, it was just when it was late, we were just wide open, right? And it's tough. Now there are random plays that are designed like the first third down in the second half.
Few things go better with a Tennessee sports victory than an awesome whiskey. And actually, me and Jonathan Crompton had a drink of whiskey during the postgame show of every football win this past season. And more specifically, we had Rattle and Snap Tennessee Select Straight Whiskey. You can see it right there behind me. Log Still Distillery has released a new Tennessee whiskey product line called Rattle and Snap Tennessee Whiskey, named after a long-forgotten game of chance. Rattle and Snap is a whiskey for those who make their own luck. There's a 4-year and an 8-year version of Rattle and Snap whiskey. And actually, this one behind me is the 4-year version right here. It's perfect for making your favorite whiskey cocktails or just drinking neat. It's really great stuff. And I mean, you can see it there. The bottle looks great too. You can find Rattle and Snap right now in stores across Tennessee. And Rattle and Snap is also available in Kentucky, Indiana, and Mississippi. So run, don't walk to get yourself some Rattle and Snap whiskey. And follow Rattle and Snap on Instagram at Rattle and Snap Whiskey. That is Rattle and Snap Tennessee Select Straight Whiskey.
One, it should not have been third and long because Squirrel's got to catch that first ball. Now Joe's got to take some off of that ball, the first play of the third quarter, where Squirrel doesn't have to, it doesn't surprise him. But we still got to catch that ball. But then on the third down, we run a dig and go, right? Set it up perfectly. Great play call. You got to make the throw.
Yep.
Like you can't overthrow a dude that's running away from a defender by, what was it, 8 to 10 yards? I'm guesstimating there.
Plenty.
You can't do that. So it's like, okay, well, you got to make the throw. Well, yeah, we got to make that other catch. Oh, well, we got to block on the second down on the same drive on the inside zone. It's almost like everything is going so bad right now, just from top to bottom on offense at least, that every play looks like a disaster, I guess is what I'm getting at. Because it's not one player. It's the collective of everybody looks really bad right now.
Yeah, they just look lost. Just lost. It's so crazy because you had such moments last season where everybody was so clearly on the same page.
Yes.
Like it was like they were in each other's heads on some of those drives. And now it looks like they're speaking different languages out there. I mean, it's like Joe speaking Spanish and Squirrel White speaking Japanese. And, you know, it's crazy, man. It's just terrible. It's terrible. That's flat out. Yeah. And now you got to go do it against Vandy, who thankfully is absolutely horrendous. But you know,
well, let's talk about that here in just a little bit. After
is it that simple? Yeah, I mean that's going to be the very end of the show. We're going to talk about the Vandy game, but is that game that simple now? Because good Lord, this is bad.
Hey,
what you're
Terry
doing
brings up a phenomenal comment. Do we whisper our routes to the opposing defensive backs? We're never open, guys. That's what I've said all year. Like, in the sense of you're 100% right. We're not open hardly because we don't have anybody that can separate on the routes. And SEC defenses have started to figure out how to play us in the sense of if you get in our face and play press man, we can beat you 100% because of our switch release pick routes.
Yeah.
When you play it 10 to 12 yards and you make us sit down everything and you can drive on the ball and you can drive on the throw, we cannot run by you because we don't have a Jalen Hyatt speed, so they're not threatened deep. In this offense, we got to have somebody that can threaten deep. And so that's why we never seem open, is because we're not. In all honesty, we're just not. We're hardly ever open. So we're having to make contested catches. We're having to make contested throws, which then in turn, Joe throws at 252 miles an hour. and it goes high, right? Because he's trying to fit it in the perfect window, so to speak. And that's not his game. That's not his type of game. Yeah. So, obviously the injury bug, losing Brew was not an ideal situation. But even if Brew's still in, it's not going to change right now. Like of what we're doing. That's the bad part, because I am the biggest Brew fan there is.
Man,